Good People Beer Club. Hi, we're live now.
Oh,
we're
live.
blinking light. So
thank you.
Yeah, well, that's what you're gonna do.
Sorry, we're talking about Ollie.
We have an extra person this time. This is Oliver Edmund Snyder III, or puppy.
Ollie for short. If you don't know, I'm Morgan Snyder.
I'm Taylor Shoemaker.
And I'm Jonathan Tolbert.
And we are here today with Santa Cruz Brown Ale by Epic Brewing from their Exponential series, which is, Morgan and I have had this before.
Oh my god.
I got really excited when I found another bottle of this, and we excitedly told him he has to try this, and we thought what better way than to tell you people about it as well.
And the reason I showed up.
Yeah. Now this is a really fun one because it's limited batch series, 1,800 bottles, and they're strictly out of
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah, where you can't sell this at all.
Yeah,
in Salt Lake City, Utah, because it is 6.9% ABV, and we actually are currently holding. There he goes.
And he's out.
What happens when people show up? So this is actually release number 2. All the bottles are numbered. So we have the second bottle off the bottom line. So,
and
very cool.
The little background that we have on Epic is, like Morgan said, they're out of Salt Lake City, Utah. From what I understand, there aren't a lot of breweries in Salt Lake City, Utah. Kind of how they do with their beers is they have different series is what they call them. They have an elevated series, and there's three of them.
They do have some regulars.
There's
the Brainless, which is their Belgian Golden, and they do that with cherries and peaches,
which is on the Exponential.
So they've got these different levels, and I think there's 3 of them, and they go up by ABV. So the higher the ABV, the higher it is on its series. So they have like 3 different ones. And I know they recently came to a market about 18 months ago, I believe.
I don't even think it was within the last year.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when they came to
they had a whole
market.
big thing at Cafe Ale.
And also they have a very, especially in the Exponential series, they have a very distinct label. You know what you're getting when you get one of these.
Yeah, actually,
you know it's a limited batch, you know it's made with care, and you know it's going to probably be really good.
It's got that nice little rice paper.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of labels, theirs is actually very appealing. It's kind of rugged.
So,
it's a brown ale,
simple.
In case we didn't say that. And it's, from what our experience, it is not a traditional brown ale by any stretch.
Not by far, and especially since we're in Richmond, we have a very well-known brown ale from here.
Legend Brown.
Well, and I'd say when you're looking at brown ales, and this is my personal feeling, I'm not basing this on any stylistic things, but I can say that I look at brown ales from 2 ways. You have your traditional sweet brown ale, which I think is like Newcastle, our local brewery, Legend, is a sweet brown ale.
Yeah, definitely a sweet brown ale.
And then on the opposite side, you have a kind of maltier, almost roasty, but not roasty like a stout. It's almost more of like a, you can get a little bit of coffee, but it's a roastiness to it. There's still some sweetness there coming from the malt bill, but it's not sweet, isn't the dominant flavor. So those are the 2 kinds of browns I'm familiar with.
And I know Stone actually released a what do they call it? The TBA, is that the brown one? They tried to turn the brown ale on its head and made it a very hoppy version. But I actually had this before I had theirs, and I was like, well, I've already had a hoppy brown, so I don't know how this is very impressive.
And that's a good point. I think
camera crew and assistants.
And I'd say, Morgan, that's a very good point, that when you think of brown ale, the last thing that comes to mind is the hop bill. Like, honestly, it's there for some bitterness and some flavor and some nose.
Yeah, it's the same vein of a stout. It's there to balance it, and that's it.
With your brown ales, it's all about the malt. So
this is definitely a very different.
Oh, it's so hot. It just smells like it was wet hopped yesterday. Like, it is.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's very fresh.
Oh yeah, it just smells like they just cut hops and then put them in there. Like I have to look in there and expect to see hops floating in the bottle. And
Morgan, our resident hop expert, what would you say is that on the nose?
It's an earthier hop, which I would have to say put it at probably a. I would traditionally say Fuggles for this one, but I'm gonna go with Willamette because it's the American version.
Do you guys get coffee on the nose? Like just smelling, I smell a little bit of coffee.
Definitely coffee.
Maybe I'm crazy. Okay, good.
I can't smell some coffee.
The hops are very forward, but
it'll be interesting because Willamette hops are a hop that I typically don't enjoy. So it'd be interesting.
Okay, I've realized something very interesting about Willamette. Willamette is great in a dark beer. Like Willamette is Fuggles. It's the same exact breed. It's just a hybrid with a little bit more citrus flavors. So it is the same hop as Fuggles, which is all very traditional stouts and dark beers.
Is it just grown by where it's grown?
And it has a higher alpha acid, so it's a lot more bitter flavors. So it's if it's used properly, it's a great hop.
And what hop is that?
Willamette.
Morgan, you say it?
Willamette.
You say
Willamette.
Willamette. Yeah. I am
Tomato,
obviously
tomato.
wrong.
I've heard both.
Tomato, tomato.
I like Willamette because it's just it's how it reads.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Let's be real.
All right,
let's do this.
All right. Yep. You get
That's
that grassy,
just as good.
This is a little like grassy, herbally flavors, a little bit of like sweetness.
No,
It's
sweetness
not
does
no-
not come through. Like,
I don't get that sweet at all. I get a little bit of malt, I get a lot of hop flavor, and I get like smooth, drinkable,
Like, just
like
the
very
very-
hot for it. I can taste it, and then it's gone like that. And that's what I love. And I don't expect it from a brown ale, honestly, in the way this does.
I get like a fruity sweetness.
Yeah,
Like
I
from
mean,
the
there's
hops.
but it's
Like-
not like sweet, not like
like a
syrup.
citrusy kind of sweetness.
Citrusy
Yeah, okay.
sweetness,
So I was gonna say, like for me, like it's all association. Like I expect Newcastle, I expect Legends Brown Ale, they're local, and it's not there. It's not. There's not that sort of sweetness. Now there, I can see.
Oh, no,
And
not
that's the thing.
by
Like,
any stretch of the imagination.
and that's what's kind of interesting about there are
Like,
different types of brown ales.
This is almost. I'm almost willing to say that they literally took black patent and 2-row, and that's it. Just a little bit of black patent to give it color, and then they just topped it.
Yeah.
Just threw hops in there.
I mean, sometimes a simple beer is great, and
Yeah.
like I mean, if that is really the case with that, oh wow, you made a fantastic beer.
You get that really roasted like dryness that you get with the black patent, like you get from like a Guinness, you know, any of the traditional just imperial stouts. You get that dryness that lingers from the black patent, and I'm willing to say that that's really all they use. It's just really dark, really dry, tastes like coffee,
And-
coffee and hops.
Just while we're on that topic, it's certainly not a brewing show, but Morgan, I think you bring up a good point in that you're talking about the type of malts that they use.
Yep.
Usually we associate darker beers with more sweetness. That's
Yes.
not necessarily the case because some beers you use specialty malt specifically for coloring and not for any sort of flavor whatsoever, right?
And that's exactly, and that's what I think they did here.
Yeah, and so sometimes you'll get that sweetness from a darker malt, and then other times it's simply used for the coloring. And in this case, it seems like they used it simply for coloring.
I mean, it comes through, but you don't get any of that sweetness. So, I mean, I highly recommend it if you.
Oh yeah, if you can find a bottle. I'm sad this is probably gonna be the last of this I'm gonna get. And
number 2.
Number 2.
I think the last bottle we had was actually like 8 or 9.
Yeah, was it? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure it was.
It was in the single.
This is the number 2.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, number
second
bottle.
batch.
Like
Not
somehow,
the
like
second batch. It is the number 2 bottle.
like our Brainless on Peaches was number 4. Like all of these were like we've had like all the super early bottles, and
So
either
I-
Morgan and I just happened to be the first to pick it up, or
I just thought it was like a second release, but we had multiple.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. When you guys are saying number 2, like I feel like you should have something special, like the brewmaster's autograph or something.
Yeah.
Or like a trip to the brewery for
Yeah.
the number 2 bottle. Like,
Yeah.
I got a golden ticket.
Yes, seriously.
apparently, we do not have the golden ticket.
We don't. If we had number 1,
But
like
we have the brown liquid.
yeah,
That's
and
what we-
I think this is the golden ticket for me. Like I could drink 18 of these, and you'd probably find me running down the street naked.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, you know,
Yeah, that thought of me.
Savor that image.
Yeah, definitely highly recommended.
Just ignore him.
And
Please.
on that note
They let
of
me out of
Taylor
my-
running down the street naked, cheers.
Cheers! Oh, I love drinking to that thought.